Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is the story about Naruto. What if Naruto become a kami half-god part 5. Hope you'll enjoy this video. So before we start, please do support for more awesome content and also hit the subscribe button and share this video with your friends and also support the creator of this fanfic. I have created many playlists, check it out in the channel. So let's start the video. Naruto looked at the sky, and a female voice Naruto recognized said the truth is Minato-kun saw how weak Konoha was and knew even though he could send the Kyuubi back to where it came from, since it was too powerful to destroy, that Konoha enemies would most likely take the opportunity to attack and destroy Konoha. To stop this, he drew a second seal on top of the seal he spent the entire time Kushina was pregnant with Naruto, designing to hold a cage bunchen of her so that when Naruto was old enough, he would be able to see and hold his mother even just one time, which activated the day he got the second seal was a seal that made those whisker marks appear on Naruto's face so people would believe he had the Kyuubi sealed in him. He left a letter to the Sandaime explaining things, and so to make sure the other villages knew Konoha had a demon sealed away, he made a public announcement about it being sealed inside Naruto and then forbid everyone from speaking about it so other villages would believe he had the Kyuubi and would not attack, afraid Konoha would release the Kyuubi on them, while in truth the Kyuubi was just sent back to where it originally came from. As a woman with blonde hair appeared in the middle of the group, Naruto said Chance as he ran over and hugged her. Kakashi thought, holy shit, she's beautiful, and said, I am Haddock Kakashi, who are you missing? Chance said, my name is Chance, I'm Naruto's godmother. Kakashi looked at Naruto, remembering him talking about her, and said, is she the one you, as he giggled. Chance smiled and said, oh, yeah. Me and both my sisters took his cherry the night Shinigami's cage bunchen summoned us to Konoha. Sakura gaped and said, you and your sisters had sex with him, and you openly admit it. Chance said, and what? We're both adults, and I wanted to officially bring him into adulthood and make it memorable. Having a four-way sex fest for several hours was one hell of a memory for me. Tazuna asked, why did you call his mother Shinigami? Chance said, Kami, or I should say mom, she's a bit off. She took care of a bunch of kids since she couldn't have children of her own, so she gave us all names of ancient gods and goddess. I'm Chance, or, as some call me, Lady Luck. My sisters Fate and Destiny were also with me the night Naruto-kun became a man. With a smile on her face, Kakashi giggled and said, you fucked Fate, Destiny, and Chance, huh Naruto? Not many can say they've done that. With a smile on his face behind his mask, Naruto said, yeah, so why are you here? Not that I mind, and how did you find me? Chance said, pull the deck of cards out I gave you. Naruto did, and Chance said, find what's missing. Naruto looked through it and said, the black and white jokers are missing. Chance said, bingo, it allows me to summon myself to you, but it takes like 5 minutes for me to actually get here, so everything that is said 5 minutes before I appear I hear on the way here. Catch. As she tossed him a scroll, Naruto opened it and read, Naruto-kun, I guess there are a few things I should tell you about myself and about Desire. We know each other and have a past that I think you should know about, like your mom and dad. I once fell in love with a mortal and became mortal to be with him. It was a long time ago, but Desire being who and what she has talked him into fulfilling one of his desires, which was to be with another woman. I don't blame her since I forgive her, so as long as she doesn't hurt you, then I won't do anything to her. After I found out my husband cheated on me, I never fully trusted again. But I did lust for another man. Since I never died, I still had my body that I could use and had 2 children with him. He died and I did care for my children, but both wanted to be like the rest of their family and I couldn't stand in their way taking from them their dreams, so I faked my death and returned to the other side. My son soon joined me by being killed in battle. Even though I still had my body, I could not just pop up and leave when I wanted to. It takes a lot out of me, so I have to wait one day for every day that I actually live as a human before I return. I was here with my children and their father for 10 years, so I could not return to comfort my daughter for 10 years, and by that time she had become the woman who punched you through those trees. Naruto's eyes got wide as he looked over at Chance, who nods, and Naruto looked back at the note and read, I know that is hard to believe, but it's true. Tsunade believes she is cursed in gambling, that when she wins something bad is going to happen, and when she loses everything's normal. That is the bloodline I gave her since she was a demigod like you. I know you are angry at her, and I understand, as I am, as well, but I am her mom, so I don't want to see her continue down her path she is on. I ask you to talk with her and try to knock some sense into her. I also have a gift for you sealed on the bottom of this scroll, but you will have to unseal it with chakra privately because I don't want to explain how I came across it. The gift is free, so don't feel I am paying you to do it. Now ask me if it is true so I can lie about the scroll." Naruto asked, "Is it true?" Chance said yes, my sister Inari asked me to go to Konoha and ask them to send a team to Wave Country. She said she just recently went through there and people are dying of starvation because there is hardly any food thanks to some guy named Gato. She said she saw children starving and wanted to do something, so since you're the only Konoha nin I know, I thought reading her description of what was happening there that maybe you could do your thing to help the people. Where have we been since I was summoned here?" As she looked around. Kakashi said about a half day before we reached the shore, we were actually on our way to Wave. Chance said, "Really, I hope you have a bunch of food then, because if you don't you won't find any there. Even wild animals in the woods are hard to find." Kakashi frowned and looked at Tazuna who was looking down, and Kakashi said, "I see, so you came all this way to request Naruto here to see if he could go help a country he was already going to help." Chance rubbed her head and said, "Actually that was a bonus and I didn't know he was on his way there. I wanted to see him again since I wasn't able to be with him until the day his mom summoned me, but because of my duties I can't stay in Konoha either. I hope you're not angry about me interrupting your mission. Haddock-san, do you know when the Chunin exams are going to be held in Konoha?" Naruto-kun promised me that he was going to be in the finals, and I know, if he's anything like his parents, that he will keep all his promises, and I wanted to come see him in the exams. Kakashi said the finals are always the last day of March and the last day of September. I understand that you want to see your godchild. If I may ask, what village are you? Chance said, "The village where I live is heaven." Everyone blinked and Chance sighed and said, "Like mom, our founders were a bit off and honored the ancient gods and goddesses of the world. Most of the people in our village are named after a god or goddess. Even Naruto's mother, who was born in our village, was named after a goddess. Her real name was Shinigami, and that's the name most of us know her by. She was traveling with her father who was killed in Whirlpool Country and taken with the rest of the orphans to Konoha, and people didn't believe her about what her name was since they never heard of our village and named her Kushina Uzumaki or Kushina of Whirlpool. It wasn't until she had grown up that someone she knew from our village met her, and she had a life in Konoha by then." Sakura asked, "Where exactly is your village located?" "I mean, you said you had to be summoned here, why can't you just travel here like normal?" Chance said, "Well, how do I put it? Have you ever heard of the Hidden Air village?" Kakashi's eyes got wide and said, "Yes, what about them?" Chance said, "They sort of got the idea for their village from us. Our village really is in heaven or in the air. It's a floating village and can't be reached by regular means. We just float wherever the wind blows our village, and it's hidden by clouds made from the hidden mist powered by the seal that absorbs chakra from everyone that lives in our village. Our village originally was on a small island whose volcano was going to erupt soon and destroy our village and everyone there, so our ancestors created the seals that make up our village to let us float away from the danger. It's not very big. And we have to do all our shopping for supplies from different nations, and no, we are not allied with anyone or will ever be allied with anyone. Because we can't grow too big in size, and we are not really fighters, we keep to ourselves and keep our secrets. The only reason I told you all is because Naruto needs to know at least about his family history, since he has been to our village once the night he learned about his family, but since it was night and we appeared inside the village he couldn't see anything or know anything that could be forbidden to speak about or could be useful to others to try and get our secrets." Kakashi said, "So the clothes Naruto has here are made by the people of your village?" Chance said, "So you have seen or haven't seen what they can do, huh?" As she looked at Kakashi. Kakashi said, "Yes, and I can understand why you would want to keep your secrets, but you won't consider a trade agreement with our village." Chance said, "Sorry, the leader of our village won't allow it. The last time we tried to do that was the Hidden Air village, and you can guess how that went." Sasuke said, "Who was the Hidden Air village you both speak about?" Kakashi said, "The Hidden Air village was a village whose ninja flew. They attacked from the air and started the Third Ninja War by attacking several of the smaller nations. They asked for aid, and Konoha aided them, which the smaller nations allied with Konoha for their protection and Iowa didn't like it since a couple of the countries were trade partners with Iowa and they cancelled the contracts with Iowa and gave them to us, and so they got Kumo to aid them, and well we got Suna, and soon an all-out war started, but Konoha had acted quickly and found the hidden air village and destroyed it. Chance said anyways, I need to get back. I would like to have spent more time with you, but I have my duties to attend to. Maybe I can make it up to you when I get the chance to come back. I ask that none of you tell me about my village or about Misaya. As she kissed Naruto and disappeared. Sakura said what a tramp. Sleeping with someone she doesn't even know. Naruto growled and said Sakura, you're a kunoichi. You could be ordered to sleep with someone you don't know, which means you would be no better than a prostitute since you would be getting paid for it and the village would be your pimp. She's only been with 3 men her entire life. The first man she loved who cheated on her with another woman, later she was with another man who died unexpectedly, and then me. Guess what, Sakura? Because Sasuke the last of his clan in Konoha, that means that he's going to have sex with several women and have children with them to make sure his bloodline lives on. By insulting her, you're also insulting the man you claim you love. Sakura was angry, shocked, and then paled as she heard this. Kakashi said, well, since we did not know about the condition in Wave, when we took this mission, we were going to make a slight detour to Tazuna to get some more supplies. There's a village about 3 miles south of here. We will go to get supplies, and you will stay with me for your protection. Tazuna said, it's alright, I guess I never thought about your need for food when I requested this mission since our country is just barely surviving. Naruto looked at Kakashi, who glanced at Naruto from his one eye, and Naruto gave a small nod, and Naruto said, don't worry, I'm sure things will get better soon. Kakashi said, let's go. Half an hour later Naruto said, I need to take a leak. As he walked into the woods. As he got there he unsealed the item and blinked as he saw a small white snake, and the snake said, so you're our new summoner. I'm Dice, father to all snakes. Chance told me about you. You're the Sachi no Shinigami, right? Naruto nodded, and the Dice said, nice to meet you. Chance told me you know some about the snake summoning contract that was created by the Manda tribe. Naruto said, yeah, Anko told me about them, I think. As he rubbed his head. Dice said, yeah, her and Orochimaru are the only 2 who have that contract. Now what you should know is that there is only 1 tribe of snakes. There are a total of 8 tribes, and the one you know of is the weakest. It was a contract created for Orochimaru to protect Chance's daughter, since he was her teammate. Now Chance has asked me to let you have a contract with another tribe of snakes besides the one Orochimaru has. The question is which? Naruto asked, what's the difference? Dice smirked and said each has its strength and weakness, but it's not actually a choice of which you get, it's a choice of which you pass to get. To obtain the contract you have to become immune to every snake in that contract. How you do that is I will have to bite you on your arm. Depending on which part of it you become immune to will determine which snake contract you get. Naruto asked, will I have to do that whole sacrifice thing I heard Anko talking about? Dice said no, Orochimaru did not originally have to either until he betrayed the original contract and betrayed Tsunade. That is why Anko does not have to make sacrifices, but she only has a subcontract with the snakes she is immune to. Since this is a free gift, and, as long as you do not bring harm to Chance, or openly hurt those you summon like Orochimaru does with his experimentation, then you will never have to worry about sacrifices. Now, will you accept our contract? Naruto thought for a moment and said sure. I asked Anko to let me sign her contract since I thought of the ability to use it with my bloodline, but she was afraid to since Orochimaru has the master contract, or I should say the master contract for that tribe. Dice said, then hold out your right arm and don't move as I am going to bite you. Ready, good, here goes. As he lunged at Naruto's right arm and bit into it, and Naruto winced as Dice let go, and Dice said, there, once the snake seal finishes appearing and quits hurting, you will be able to summon our kind interest. I can tell by which color is appearing on your seal which tribe you are passing. Interesting indeed. Goodbye Sachi no Shinigami, and good luck. As he went up in smoke. Naruto lowered his coat sleeve and took a leak before going back to where his team was. Kakashi said, everything is alright. You were gone for a while. Naruto said, yeah, let's go. An hour later the group that had traveled in silence as they approached the town, and Naruto stumbled a moment and fell to his knees, drawing everyone's attention, and Sakura said, are you alright Naruto? As she looked at him. Kakashi narrowed his eyes as he saw how sweaty Naruto was and how pale he appeared, and he asked what's wrong with Naruto. I've seen you run for hours and not get winded, and here you are looking like you're about to pass out from exhaustion. Naruto took off his cloak as he wet his lips and he reached up to his shoulder and a scroll appeared and Naruto opened the scroll as Kakashi walked over and said, "What are you needing, Naruto?" Naruto swallowed and said, soldier pills." Kakashi frowned and looked at the scroll and found the seal he remembered putting them in, and he took one out of the box and turned to give it to Naruto when his eye saw Naruto's arm and he froze as he saw how red it was and the white snake tattoo on his arm. Naruto saw this and grabbed the pill, popping it in his mouth, and his color began to return to normal, and Kakashi saw the redness going away around the tattoo, and he looked at Naruto and asked, "How did you get that?" Naruto sat down and saw Sasuke and Sakura come over along with Tazuna, and he said, "Remember when I took a leak I was approached by a summon?" Kakashi frowned and said, "And?" Naruto said, "Relax, it's not Anko or Orochimaru's contract. The summon that approached me told me there are a total of 8 tribes of snake contracts, and the one they have is actually the weakest. Apparently word spread around about me with the summons for some reason, and I impressed them enough to let me test for one of the other tribes of snakes that has no summoner. All I have to do is become immune to all the snakes in that tribe like Orochimaru originally did when he got his snake contract. My bloodline is doing that as we speak, but it's chakra based, so it's eating my chakra up. I think it's almost done now, though, since the seal and the pain are almost gone." Kakashi said, "And you didn't think you should tell your team or superior about this?" Naruto said, "Anko had already had every snake she can summon bite me. So I figured I had a good resistance to most kinds of snakes already, and it would have only taken a few minutes. I guess there are more that Anko can't summon than I thought. Who knew? I can feel my reserves getting back up there, so I think it's finished. Maybe a third of my chakra so far." Kakashi frowned and said, "That was very stupid, Naruto. You could have put your team and the mission in danger." Naruto frowned and said, "I know, but how often does a summon actually appear and offer itself to a person? I was afraid if I refused the honor of the sacrifice the snake made to come here, then it would be an insult which would later come back and bite me in the ass." Sasuke said, "But why do you?" Naruto shrugged and said, "I already told you I somehow impressed the snake who gave me this somehow." Kakashi sighed and said, "I can understand where you are coming from, as most contracts are passed down from another ninja or family now, but you still should have told us after you got it." Naruto said, "Sorry, I wasn't thinking about that." Kakashi said, "Well, anyways, you now have a summoning contract." Naruto said, "Too, this was actually my second summoning contract because my first is sort of a family contract. I am only the second to have it, and it's related to my other bloodline." Sakura said, "You still haven't told us what it is." Naruto glanced at Kakashi, who shrugged, and Naruto bit his lip and said, "I know, and the reason I am not telling you is also part of the real reason Ino and I left Konoha, and also the reason this mission was originally a solo mission for me to take alone. We went searching for a living blood relative. I have a cousin, we found her, and she a drunk, gambling bitch who was drunk and thought I was a debt collector, at least that's what we believe she thought. I was alone when I found her because Ino and Anko were in town getting supplies. She attacked me and caused me to be stabbed through the stomach with a tree branch. She laughed at me and kicked me in the face before she left me for dead. Ino and Anko found me passed out in a pool of blood, nearly dead still with the branch in me. I found out she's coming to Konoha for another reason unrelated to me, and I did not want to be there when she arrived, and I don't want her knowing that we are related. That is why I don't want to tell you about my other bloodline, because if you found out what it is, then you will know who she is and which family I am related to. If I have to use it, I will, but..." Sasuke said, "She sounds like my brother, a relative you want to kill." Naruto glanced at Kakashi and asked Sasuke, "How many fires did your family get off when Itachi killed your clan?" As he slowly got up, Kakashi shot Naruto a look, and Naruto rolled his eyes, and Sasuke looked confused and asked, "What do you mean?" Naruto slapped his head and said, "Please tell me you told him to look underneath things." As he looked at Kakashi, Sakura said, "What are you all talking about?" Sasuke said, "Yeah, why does it matter how much my family got off?" Naruto said, "Because that was the proof that the real killer of your clan executed the Dumbus." Kakashi said, "Naruto, what are you doing?" Naruto said, "He has the right to know. You just rode my ass for not telling me about putting the team in danger." If we someday run into Itachi, he deserves to know the truth, so he doesn't put us in danger." Sasuke said in a demanding voice, "What the hell are you talking about?" Naruto said Danzo, the reason Danzo was killed was because it was found out that Danzo had already tried to steal one bloodline from Konoha, and it was suspected that he had tried to steal another. Not one fire, something your clan is famous for, was used the day your clan was killed. There was no damage to any buildings from a fire in the Uchiha district. The only way that could happen was if there was more than one killer. Danzo was the leader of a secret Anbu unit called Root who worked outside of the control of the Hokage and the council. They were supposed to be disbanded years ago, but Danzo kept them hidden. When Ino and I discovered that Danzo was still operating Root and they tried to kidnap her twice, and the evidence about there was no fire used, it was enough to investigate him and found out he was involved in the massacre. Also, Itachi was one of my guards as a child assigned to me by the Sandaime, so I know Itachi, and he talked to me all the time about you, Sasuke, and I know that he would do anything to protect you, even claim he was the one who killed your clan, so you would not get killed going after the real killers." Sasuke's eyes were wide as he looked shocked and breathing heavily, and he said, "You knowed all this and didn't tell me." Naruto said, "I thought Sandaime would tell you personally after he got out of the hospital, Sasuke. Itachi may still be guilty of helping do it for some reason, but we know that he didn't do it alone. The only one who knows for sure is Itachi, and the only way to find out is to confront him about it. Either way, right now Itachi is still a missing nin and has committed crimes as such. Perhaps he might be able to be captured and questioned about the truth of what really happened, and he will have to still pay for the crimes he committed, besides that with spending time in jail at least. That is if he isn't killed first. But you said your goal was to kill him. How can you find out the truth if you kill him personally? The way I see it is if Itachi is really the same man I knew as my guard, then he sacrificed everything for you to restore your clan and bring your clan's honor back. He is wanting you to get stronger, and he will allow you to kill him so that he can regain your family honor when the time is right for you to take over as the leader of your clan by law, which is when you are 16. He may check on you before then to piss you off to get stronger, but that's just my guess if Itachi is really innocent. The question you have to ask yourself is this: if Itachi was innocent and he sacrificed everything for you to restore your clan and its honor, are you going to chase after him and capture him to get answers so that he will suffer for years in prison or be executed for his crimes? Or are you going to let him go and wait until the day he comes before you? If he fights and defeats you and leaves you alive, then you will know that I am right and that he left you alive to restore your clan and its honor. Will you make his sacrifice be for nothing and become so hungry for vengeance that you destroy all he sacrificed for? Will you betray the village for power to kill him? Would you become as evil as he appears to be to destroy a man who loves his little brother enough to die for him?" Sasuke, who had been trembling, screamed, "Shut up." Naruto said using Sasuke's voice, "I am an avenger. I don't care about the cost. I will kill him." Naruto was soon flying backwards from the fist of Sasuke hitting his face, and Sasuke stood there panting, and he said, "Shut up, dope." Naruto, who was rubbing his jaw, said, "What will you do, Sasuke? What if someone offered you power to kill Itachi? What would you sacrifice Sasuke for? Would you kill your best friend for power?" Making everyone wide-eyed, and Sasuke froze. Naruto stood up and said, "I know about the Manjikyu Sharingan. I read about how you have to feel guilt over killing someone you care for, like your best friend." Causing Sakura to gasp and cover her mouth as she looked between Sasuke and Naruto. Sasuke gritted his teeth and Kakashi said, "That's enough, Naruto." Naruto said, "No, it's not. Sasuke and I both want to find Itachi. I want to find out if he's guilty or not, and Sasuke until today wanted to kill him. The reason I am doing this is because we are a team, Sasuke, Sakura, and me. We are on a mission that is at least an A rank now, since the next ninja we face will most likely be a Jounin. Sasuke wants power, and he wants to test himself to see if he's strong enough to face Itachi. I want to know, before we get into a life and death fight, if I can trust Sasuke with my life. If something happens and Sasuke is faced with the choice of testing his power or saving my life, which will he choose? As an avenger he will abandon me and Sakura because he sees us as nothing but distractions. If someone offers him power, will he abandon us? If Gato offered to use his fortune to find Itachi for Sasuke, would he betray us?" Sakura said he won't betray us. In a defiant voice. Naruto looked at her with a cold look and said, "Are you willing to put your life on the line to prove you're right?" Sakura said yes. With a little stutter. Naruto looked at Sasuke, who was standing there, and Naruto asked, "Well, Sasuke, what will you do? Will you sell your soul to the devil in order to get your revenge?" Sasuke gritted his teeth and said, "Damn." Naruto got up and said, "I have a deal for you. I want to find Itachi someday and find out the truth as well. If either of us is going to find out the truth, then we need to be a team. With me being a censor, as well as my other skills, I would make finding him someday a lot easier. If Sakura started to train harder and became our team medic and support fighter with me, as a close to mid-range fighter like you, then we have a chance to become truly strong to not only capture Itachi and find out the truth, and if he is guilty, then I will let you kill him, no problem. And stop anyone else who tries to stop you from bringing him to justice, and after Itachi is taken care of, then we can each help each other reach our ambition. I want to become Hokage, you want to restore your clan, which means also restarting the Uchiha police force. With me, as Hokage helping to support you, then it will be a lot easier, and Sakura, if she decided to take my advice about being a medic serious, then she could become head of Konoha Hospital someday, but only if we work together to reach all our goals. I don't know if you're willing to make a deal with the devil, but are you at least willing to make a deal with us? I ask you, Sasuke, can I trust you with my life?" Sasuke smirked and asked, "Are you trying to become my boss?" Naruto said, "When I become Hokage, you're going to have to learn to take orders from me, so you might as well get used to it now." Sasuke walked forward offering his hand, and Naruto took it, and Sasuke jerked Naruto forward till they were face to face and said, "If he's guilty, I am the one to kill him." Naruto said, "Deal, but if you betray me or Konoha Sasuke, I'll kill you." Sasuke nods and Naruto lets go and says, "Why do I feel like my great-grandfather?" as he turned and started toward the village. Kakashi, who was smiling, said, "Because Sasuke is the great-grandson of Madara Uchiha." Naruto stopped and looked at Sasuke and asked, "Is that true?" Sasuke said, "Yeah, why?" Looking confused. Naruto snorted and then burst out laughing, and Sakura asked, "What's so funny?" Naruto tried to calm himself and looked at her and said, "Oh god, I have to tell you guys why it's funny. My great-grandfather was Hashirama Senju." Sasuke blinked and asked, "Are you shitting me, dope?" Naruto shook his head and said, "No team, that's my other bloodline. Sasuke burst out laughing and said, "Our ancestors must be rolling in their graves." Naruto said, "Oh, I'm sure they're finding this funny theme somewhere." Tazuna asked who Madara Uchiha and Hashirama Senju were. Sakura, who was shocked hearing what she just heard, said Hashirama Senju was the Shodaime Hokage of Konoha, and he along with Madara Uchiha founded Konoha. Isn't there some kind of law that says that an Uchiha and a Senju can't be on the same team after they killed each other at the Valley of the End? Naruto and Sasuke stopped laughing and looked at Kakashi, and Kakashi said, "Well, Naruto is technically an amicus, so I think that law doesn't apply." Sasuke asked, "How are you related to him?" Naruto said, "My grandmother was his daughter. She married a guy from the Wind Country." Sakura said, "So the woman you were trying to find was Tsunade?" Naruto said, "Yeah, damn bitch. I want to kick her fucking ass right now, and the thing that pisses me off the most right now is with Hurt the old nag, and Goat sent my godfather to go find her to bring her back to Konoha to become the Godaime Hokage." Sakura asked, "Who's this old nag and Goat?" Kakashi coughed and said that Sandaime and Naruto have a very unique relationship. They see each other as grandson and grandfather. As for the other two, Kaharu and Hamaru, the village elders. Sasuke said, "You actually call them those names and get away with it." Naruto shrugged and said, "I call them as I see them anyway. The town is only like 100 yards away, so what are we going to get? I know I need some seeds for fruits and vegetables so I can grow some food while I'm there." Kakashi said that will work, but we need to get some meat as well to cover ourselves. Naruto nodded and asked, "But what kind and who's paying?" Sasuke grunted and said, "All my money is back in Konoha in the bank." Sakura said, I sort of thought that the client provided all our food." Kakashi said, "I got rations and a little money, but not enough to buy food for the entire time of the mission." Naruto sighed and said, "In that case, I hope you're not in a hurry, Tazuna. All of you go look around and see what this village has to offer while I go get some money for all of us to buy our supplies." As he started to walk off, Kakashi said, "Where are you going, Naruto?" Naruto smiled and said it's a secret by the way, lose the heat if we want to stay undetected by more Gato men. As he ran into town, Kakashi grunted and said to Sasuke, go with him, but stay out of trouble. Sasuke nods and runs after Naruto. After a few minutes Naruto saw what he was looking for and walked toward a tavern just as Sasuke rounded a corner and thought what the hell is the dope doing going into a tavern as he went after Naruto. Naruto when he walked in the man at the bar said sorry, no kids allowed. Naruto said blow me asshole, I'm not leaving until I spend all my money on booze, bitches, and bets. The man grunted and Naruto walked over and said give me some sake. As he pulled out his wallet that looked to be bulging. The bartender gave Naruto some and Naruto downed it in one shot and paid the man and he turned and walked over and said mind if I sit down. Several men at the table looked at him and one said go home kid. Naruto pulled out his wallet and said I got $200 here, how about letting me play until that money is gone? As he pulled out $200. Sasuke walked in at that moment and a man said sure kid, why not? As one man moved over and let Naruto sit on the bench. The man at the bar said hey, what the hell's going on? The school is sending all the kids here for higher education or something. Naruto looked back and sighed and said nope, that's the unlucky bastard who's stuck in an arranged marriage. I dragged his ass to this town to have him a bachelor party, but his damn fiancé came along for the ride. How did you lose her anyways Sasuke? As he grabbed his cards. Sasuke said who? Looking confused. Naruto snorted and said Sakura. Sasuke said she's with Kakashi right now, what are you doing? Naruto pulled out his wallet and said hey bartender, how about another round for my best friend here and give me two? As he tossed away two cards. The bartender grunted and Sasuke walked over and Naruto grabbed the back of his jacket and yanked him down into another seat that opened up and, as the sake was set down along with a bottle, as Naruto showed his hand and took in the pot. Sasuke frowned and Naruto said don't be like Sasuke, live a little and drink some. Sasuke said I don't drink. Naruto shrugged and said your loss. 40 minutes later Naruto had a brunette sitting very close to him holding his arm as he pulled in another pile of winning as a small crowd had gathered around the table and Sasuke was wide-eyed and had already drank half a bottle of sake. Naruto leaned over and whispered in the ear of the woman next to him and her eyes flicked to Sasuke and nodded and Naruto said good babe, here you go, something for you trouble. Boy, Sasuke, the lovely lady here has some things I ask her to get for me, could you go with her and give her a hand? I'm not ready to quit yet. As he slipped some money into her hand. Sasuke grunted and got up and left with the woman and the man shuffling the cards. Tell me you didn't just do what I think you did. Naruto said depends on what you think I just did. The man said, send your friend to become a man. Naruto smiled and said, what kind of man would I be if I didn't give him a night to remember before he gets married? The man laughed and said well, your friend will be remembering that for a long time. She's got crabs. Naruto's eyes widened slightly and said for some reason I feel justice is served so anyways, let's play some more. The man said wait, you're not going to save your friend. Naruto said let me give you a little FYI on my friend. He's had hundreds of women chasing him for years now because his parents were loaded. Until recently we thought he was gay. Now he's getting married and letting her lead him around by his balls and not giving him any. The fact with all those women chasing him and he's still a virgin and letting her tell him what to do is enough that I hope he gives her it also. The man said well, when you put it that way, I hope she gives it to him badly. Naruto nodded and said full house. As he laid his cards down. An hour later Kakashi and Sakura walked into the bar as they see Naruto sitting in the corner with his back to the wall and his feet on a table with a girl under each arm and several bottles of sake in front of them and Tazuna sweat drops and said aren't we supposed to be getting me home? Naruto smiled and said catch Kakashi. As he tossed a bag to Kakashi. Kakashi caught it and went wide-eyed as he saw all the cash in it and asked how did you get this Naruto? One of the ladies said Mr. Namikaze here now owns most of the business in our village. Isn't that right Mr. Namikaze? Naruto said yes ladies, like I said before, Lady Luck loves me. Now I trust that you both can run the village for me. The other girl said of course sir. We will be glad to, and we will make sure the money is deposited into your account every week. Naruto said thanks ladies. When I have a pair of lovely ladies like you running the bank for me, I feel much safer with my investments. Oh look, Sasuke back. Sasuke came back with a shit-eating grin, scaring Sakura and Kakashi and Tazuna both blinked, and Kakashi looked at Naruto slowly and said, "Did?" Naruto nodded and said, "So Sasuke, how do you feel?" Sasuke said, "Like a new man done. By the way, she said to give you this." As he handed Naruto a bottle. Naruto took the bottle and looked at it before his eyes got wide and asked, "Where did you get this, Sasuke?" Sasuke said the lady said she didn't feel right taking all that money after finding out the merchandise wasn't up to her expectations and took that from the stockroom. "What was she supposed to get you anyways?" Naruto bit his lip and asked Sasuke, "Did she tell you how she got this?" Sasuke said, "No, why?" The bartender said, "Hey, I recognize that bottle. A guy came in here a few years back and asked the manager to hold it for when he returns, but he never did, and nobody was able to open that bottle anyways." "Why?" Naruto smiled and said nothing. As he pulled out a scroll and sealed the bottle in his scroll and said, "Well, let's go, and remember ladies, make sure to keep this town growing. I know the two of you are more than capable of doing that for me, and who knows, when we see each other again I might give you the time of your life." The girls giggled and said, "We look forward to it, and we will." Sakura looked at the girls in disgust who laughed seeing that, and, as they left, Naruto said, "Let's hurry up and get the supplies. I got something to tell you all." 20 minutes later, after getting what they needed, the group was back on the road, and Sakura said, "What the hell was that back there, Naruto?" Naruto turned to her and said, "Sakura, stop. I got a headache from all the sake I drank, but I got a lot of info I think you all will find interesting about our mission." Sasuke asked, "What kind of info?" Naruto said Gato got 3 teams of mercenaries under his employment with 135 men in each team. They switch back and forth between a village in the land of wind and a village north of here in the land of fire near the coast, as well as in wave on the 1st of every month. Also, I got the name of who we most likely are going to fight next, as I found out that Gato has a practice of hiring missing nins and then killing them once they complete the mission, and I found out he is currently employing Zabuza Mamachi. Kakashi looked at Naruto and asked, "Exactly how did you find out all that info?" Naruto said, "Did you see the 2 girls beside me back there? Well, they both happen to be Konoha Kunoichi." Making everyone wide-eyed. Sakura said, "What, are you sure?" Naruto said, "Of course I'm sure. Their brothers used to rent a couple of apartments from me. Anyways, the girls saw me when I was playing poker against some guys to win some money, and so they used their covers as a couple of hookers and asked without revealing anything what I was doing here. I told them I was going to see an old friend in Wave, and the girls, while flirting with me, whispered info they heard from guys coming through about what's going on in that area." Kakashi said, "Well, that was interesting, and I'll have to mention it to Hokage-sama to make sure both girls are rewarded for helping us." Naruto said, "I wouldn't worry about that. After all, it's not uncommon for rich businessmen to come through and give little gifts to ladies for their company. One of the men I played against happened to have been the bank owner who was using poker to win the titles to several businesses back there, and well, he's dead, and the girls are the new bank manager with me as the owner, and I was able to make a few deals to help the village grow. I'll just have to have Ino talk with Inoichi, Shikaku, and Chaoza when we get back and have them agree to start trade with this town." Tazuna said, "You killed the guy." Naruto said, "No, I don't like to kill if I can keep from it. The guy tried to back out after he lost everything and claimed I cheated. He just happened to have dropped an ace he kept up his sleeve, and one of the guys he's lost to in the past saw this and killed him. I would have arrested the guy for killing the prick, but when the others in the bar started to congratulate him and I heard how the guys have been screwing them over for years now, I decided it wasn't worth the headache, especially with us on a mission." Kakashi said, "Well, you did good, and I'm surprised you were able to win so much. Did you cheat?" Naruto said, "No, for some reason Lady Luck loves me." Kakashi said, "Maybe it's because you screwed her." With a nice smile. Naruto shrugged and said, "Who knows what we do about this Zabuza guy and about Gato and his men, since odds are we will have to face them as well." Kakashi was quiet for a moment and said, "Well, as much as I hate to say this, but there is no way we can do this mission." Making everyone wide-eyed and scaring Tazuna. Naruto growled and said, "I'm not abandoning this mission, Kakashi-sensei." Kakashi said, "I'm not asking you to. I'm going to send a message back to Konoha asking for assistance on this mission, and we're going to stay in this town until they get here." Naruto bit his lip and said, Kakashi-sensei, what if there was a way to keep the clients safe and follow your idea of getting help, but also by giving you a chance to either weaken Zabuza or make it appear that he killed Tazuna, so he will either leave Wave getting his money or die when Gato betrays him. Kakashi asked, what do you have in mind? Naruto said, my cards, I could use them to make a copy of you three and head to Wave ahead of you. If Tazuna could write a letter to his daughter that I could give, then she would know he's safe and I could watch them until you arrived, because Gato may decide to use them to force Tazuna to surrender. At best I get there safely and secure the area for us and gather information. At worst I face Zabuza, who will have to fight the copy of you with all your skill until I run out of chakra and he will be weakened. Either way, it's a win-win situation for the mission and also protects Tazuna, Sasuke, and Sakura, because even though I know Sasuke and Sakura are able to protect themselves, they haven't had the training for this kind of mission. Sasuke said, and you have done it. Naruto said, I've got the best chance to live through it though. There's a reason I'm afraid of the Council of Konoha for the future of my children and myself. Besides, I can do this. As he disappeared from view, shocking everyone but Kakashi. Kakashi said, do those cards have a limit on Naruto? Naruto said, I have to stay within a mile of them. Kakashi closed his eyes and said, make a copy of me, and if it can pull off my signature then I will allow it. Naruto nods and pulls out his cards and makes one of Kakashi, and the Kakashi clone looks at Kakashi, who says, create my signature. The clone said, you say something, why should I? Naruto said, because you're a card-based ninjutsu that is a copy of the original, and I need to prove that you have all the skills the original has so I can protect my teammates and complete the mission. The clone looked at Kakashi and asked, is that true? Kakashi nodded, and the clone said, very well. As he flashed through hand signs and grabbed his wrist, and lightning appeared around his hand, and Naruto grunted and said, bastard. Kakashi counted to 10 and said, all right, enough. The clone quit and said, my one original, so what's the plan? Naruto said, the plan is you don't use that unless you have to. It took a fifth of my reserves. Kakashi said, it takes a third of mine. How much chakra does it take to run this? Naruto thought for a moment and said, about as much as a hinge. Kakashi nodded and said, all right, make a copy of the other three and you can go. Naruto nods, and after explaining it to the other three clones and Tazuna writing a letter to his daughter, the teen clone was heading to Wave. After they were gone, Kakashi saw the others looking at him and said, the reason I let him go is because everything he said is true. As much as I hate to admit it, he does have the best chance of getting in and staying alive until we get there. Sasuke said, then why don't we go with him and just send a message back? Kakashi said, because he's going to do it, even if we disagree. He could make a cage bunshin and leave, and we wouldn't know it until it was too late to stop them. At least this way I can have a little control over him. Sakura said, but can't you stop him? Kakashi said, this mission was originally a solo mission for him. I was given orders to keep an eye on him because of what happened with Tsunade and him. In the last 2 months he's been betrayed by Mizuki and nearly died, learned who his parents were, and about the lies that were created about him that caused him to live a life of pain, loneliness, and heartache, along with learning those he thought he could trust been lying to him, had his only living relative try and kill him, and learns he has 2 bloodlines that, like Sasuke here, could cause him to be used as breeding stock, where he will have to give up his shinobi career to secure his bloodline. He's dangerously close to becoming suicidal or a flight risk. By showing him I trust in him to do this, I am hoping to show that not everyone will betray or lie to him, that the deal he made with Sasuke was just as much for himself as it was for you. Tazuna asked, has his life been that bad? Kakashi looked away and said, I've personally stopped over 30 assassination attempts on his life, and Itachi stopped even more than I did. Shocking everyone. Sakura covered her mouth and looked in the direction Naruto had left and thought of Naruto as Sasuke looked also with narrowed eyes. Sakura asked then, if his life's been so bad, why was he always smiling, and why is he so? Kakashi said, did you notice how he smiled when that chance lady appeared? It was his normal smile, no, because that was his real smile. Naruto and I are both alike. I wear this mask to hide the pain I felt after my father's death, and later the deaths of those I cared for. Naruto also wears an emotional mask to hide his pain. The person you see now is mostly the real Naruto, but he's still hiding some. He doesn't completely trust us, not to hurt him like he's been hurt so much before. Sakura said, but if he's hurting that much, why doesn't he talk to someone about it? Kakashi said, who hasn't hurt him or made fun of him all his life? Who does he know he can trust with his life? Sasuke said that the whole thing earlier wasn't just about what might happen, but what he is afraid I will do. Kakashi nodded and said, well, come on, let's go get some rest, and Sasuke, I hope you use protection. Sakura stopped and paled as she looked at Sasuke, who was glaring at Kakashi, and Sakura said, Sasuke-kun, you didn't do you. Sasuke smirked and said, what if I did? As they walked back toward the village. Just then one of the girls who was with Naruto walked by and blinked and said, where's Naruto-kun? Kakashi said, he's gone ahead to scout while we wait for reinforcements. The girl said, they call me Shirley. Kakashi said, I am sure Hokage-sama will be pleased to hear of your help in this village. Shirley said he would, but we work directly for Jiraiya-sama. Kakashi-san, by the way, Uchiha-san, you might want to refrain from sex until you can get in to see a doctor. The girl you were with isn't with us, and the locals know that she's got crabs. Causing Sakura, Tazuna, and Kakashi eyes to widen. Sasuke looked confused and asked, crabs, what's that? Shirley sweat dropped and said, you might want to ask your sensei about that. I have to get going. As she quickly left. Sasuke asked, what's crabs? Sakura said, pubic lice. Kakashi said, yeah, let's find a place to stay, and Sasuke, no sex until you get that taken care of. Sasuke frowned and said, so what should I do about it? Tazuna said, well, there are only two ways I know to get rid of that. One is to go see a doctor and get some medicine for it, and the other is shaving all your pubic hair off and rubbing alcohol across the area. At least it is what I heard. Never had to deal with it before myself. Sasuke said, I will deal with it privately then, let's go. As he had a red face. Sakura thought, I can't believe he has that as she shuddered. Several hours later, Naruto was walking along the road with Team Clone after taking a boat across to Wave Country. The clone of Tazuna was in the middle with Naruto on the right, Sasuke in the front, and Sakura on the left with Kakashi in the back. As they walked, Naruto tensed as he felt a chakra source and thought, damn, if that's Zabuza then his chakra signature is nearly as big as Kakashi-sensei. As he continued down the path. As they got near the place, Naruto felt Kakashi scream down. As he shoved Tazuna and Naruto down, as Sasuke and Sakura fell also. As they all stood up, Naruto thought, shit, two of them. They must have been right on top of each other. As he felt a second chakra source and saw Zabuza appear on a huge-ass sword. Zabuza said, well. What do we have here, Sharingan Kakashi? No wonder the demon brothers failed. Naruto said, sensei, there's a second one in the trees behind us. Causing Zabuza to tense, as well as the person in the trees. Zabuza said, it appears that you're a censor kid. Naruto frowned and said, bite me no brows. Tell the guy in the trees to come on out. Hiding won't work anymore. Zabuza frowned and said, Haku. A swirl of water appeared and Naruto's eyes went wide and said, so I was right, you're not really a hunter nin. Haku asked, what gave me away and how did you know it was me? Naruto said, the cage buncheon you destroyed. The memories transfer back to the original when destroyed. As for what gave you away, you didn't carry any kunai, shurikens, or a sword to cut off the heads of your target. Zabuza narrowed his eyes and said, impressive kid you have here, Kakashi, but a little too talkative for a wannabe ninja. When I was his age I had my hands already stained with blood. Naruto snorted and said, so have I been an asshole? I made my first kill at age 7, and Kakashi wasn't the one to kill the demon brothers. I was. Kakashi said, that's enough, Naruto. All three of you guard Tazuna. I'll deal with Zabuza. Zabuza grunted and said, Haku, take the kids. I'll deal with Kakashi. Sasuke stepped forward and said, I'll take care of her dobe. Naruto nodded and Zabuza grabbed his sword and jumped out onto the water and began flashing through hand signs and said, hidden mist no dot. As a thick mist began to cover the area, Naruto flashed through hand seals and said, great breakthrough no jutsu. As he blew a huge gust of wind blowing the mist away. Zabuza scowled at this and said, a wind type huh. I guess I can't use silent killing then. Kakashi pulled out a kunai and charged at Zabuza as Sasuke charged at Haku. Kakashi blocked Zabuza's strike and they began to trade blows as Kakashi kept avoiding the sword. Sasuke, who had started doing hand signs, said Phoenix Fireball. As he breathed out several fireballs at Haku, who dodged them and ran at Sasuke, kicking him in the stomach, sending him skidding across the ground. Sasuke got up and Naruto said, don't use Sasuke, go for Taijutsu. Sasuke grunted as he charged forward, and Naruto thought Sasuke didn't have that great of control because he used too much chakra for that dot. An explosion caught his attention as water rained down around Zabuza and Kakashi out on the water, and Zabuza kicked Kakashi in the knee, causing Kakashi to go down to one leg, and Zabuza screamed it's over as he beheaded Kakashi. As that happened, Kakashi's body dissolved into nothing, and Naruto thought shit. As Zabuza began to look around, as Sasuke also dissolved as he was hit with needles in the neck. Haku looked around also and said, "What is this, Zabuza?" Zabuza said, "I don't know, Haku." With narrowed eyes. Naruto looked at his cards he had taped to his wrist and saw the cards for Kakashi and Sasuke were blank again and thought shit. A needle hit Sakura as Zabuza appeared behind Tazuna, cutting his head off as both of them dissolved. Zabuza growled and said, "What the hell is going on here?" Naruto said, "Saya." As he disappeared, shocking Zabuza and Haku. Both began to look around when a pair of hands grabbed Haku's feet and pulled her into the ground. Zabuza began to look around and said, "Interesting kid." "It's not, so what are you doing?" as he began to move by Haku while on guard. A shout of water-style tidal wave no was heard as both Haku and Zabuza looked at the lake and saw a huge wave of water heading toward them as Zabuza grabbed Haku and to a tree as the water covered the area. Zabuza growled and said, "Be on alert, Haku, these kids are better than I thought." Haku began to look around and said to Zabuza, "Look at the water on the ground." As she pointed to a spot where a distortion was seen on top of the water. Zabuza smirked as he jumped down, pulling his sword out and charged at the distortion, and as his sword sliced through it, the Naruto that was there dissolves like the others did when vines shot out the ground and wrapped around Zabuza. Zabuza struggled and broke free and said, "Damn it, where the hell is he?" At that moment a clash was heard, making him look over and see Haku blocking Naruto kunai with her, and she said, "You should surrender, as I have two advantages. One is we are surrounded by water, and the second is I have occupied one of your hands." As she began to flash through hand signs and said, "Ice style 1000 needles of death." As ice needles appeared above them and came crashing down, and Naruto thought to block it and on instinct sent chakra into the tree limb they were on, and a wall of wood shot out above them, stopping the ice needles. All three ninja eyes widened at this, and Naruto, taking advantage of it, kicked Haku in the stomach, sending her back against a tree as Naruto placed his hand on the tree branch and sent chakra into it while thinking about capture. As branches shot out and wrapped around Haku, trapping her. Zabuza appeared behind Naruto, kicking him off the branch and dove after Naruto, who had turned in air and saw Zabuza coming after him and thought, "Here goes nothing." As he bit his thumb, wiping blood across the snake on his arm and flashing through hand signs and said no. As a cloud of smoke covered the area, as Zabuza flew into the smoke he hit something hard and bounced off. As he looked up there was a 20 feet tall snake with Naruto on its head panting, and Naruto said, "Hi, get him." As he pointed at Zabuza. The snake hissed and dove at Zabuza, and Zabuza dodged to the side, slicing the snake with his sword, making the snake hiss, and slapped Zabuza into a tree with its tail. Naruto, who was still on the snake's head, had pulled out some poison that Anko made and put some on a kunai and threw it at Zabuza, who was slumped against a tree before the snake Naruto was on went up in smoke as Haku, who had freed herself, attacked it with 1000 needles of death. Naruto, who was not expecting this, fell on the ground and soon had to use a kunai to block Haku, who was trying to stab him. As they fought, Zabuza, who was recovering from the damage from the snake, pulled the kunai that hit him in the arm out, grabbed his sword, charged toward Naruto, and screamed, "It's over." As he slashed at Naruto, who tried to roll to the side. Naruto screamed out in pain as his right arm was cut off above the elbow. As Naruto grabbed his stump for an arm, he jumped back away from Haku, and Zabuza gritted his teeth. Zabuza, who was holding his stomach, said, "Damn kid, you impressed me, you got an aim, kid." Naruto gritted his teeth and said, "Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze." As he used his belt to tie off his arm to slow the blood flow. Zabuza frowned and said Namikaze had no relation to Yondaime. As he coughed up some blood. Naruto bit his lip and said, "My father." Zabuza said, "I see, where is the old man?" Naruto said, "You don't need to know." Through gritted teeth. Zabuza growled and said, "Kid, right now I'm thinking of letting you live, so you better tell me what I want or I will kill you." Naruto looked at Zabuza and said, 12 minutes. Making Haku and Zabuza confused. Zabuza asked. 12 minutes. Naruto said the kunai I hit you with got 12 minutes before you lose the ability to use chakra for a week. By that time Tazuna will be here with several teams of ninja to protect him, and Gato will kill you. We found out from a town we stopped at for supplies that Gato is planning to double-cross you. We found out about his 3 teams of 135 mercenaries that trade off the first of each month. We also found out that you were the next ninja we faced. Because of my skills you saw I was sent ahead to protect the client's family and to weaken you should I encounter you. Mission complete night. As he passed out from blood loss and chakra exhaustion. Zabuza glared at Naruto form and coughed and said Haku stop his bleeding. Haku said Zabuza, are you sure? Looking at Zabuza in shock. Zabuza said yeah, if what he said is true, we could use him to negotiate also. If Gato is really going to betray us then with me weakened we will need all the help we can get, and I think this kid would help us against Gato. Haku said yes, Zabuza-sama. As she moved over to Naruto and gasped and said Zabuza look at this. As she showed Zabuza Naruto arm that was slowly beginning to grow as new skin began to slowly length, not much, but enough to be noticed slowly moving. Zabuza frowned and said what the hell is going on, the Mokutan bloodline of the Shadame, as well as advanced healing. What the hell are you kid? In Konoha the next day the Sandame Hokage was in his hospital bed when Tsunade, Shizune, Jiraiya, Kaharu, and Hamaru walked in. Sandame saw them and looked at his teammates and said leave us, this is a private matter. Both nod and left and Jiraiya said it's good to see you're awake sensei, how are you doing? Saratobi said I am recovering and should be out within a week or two of Jiraiya. While I am looking forward to speaking with you, could you and Shizune please leave the room? I need to speak with Tsunade alone. Both Shizune and Jiraiya glanced at Tsunade who was scowling and left the room and the Sandame put up a privacy and the only warning Tsunade had was the alarm of the heart monitor flatlining before she found herself on the ground holding her face where the Sandame bitch slapped the living hell out of her. Sandame stood towering over her glaring down at her with as much hate as he could, scaring her, and she thought what the hell, I've never seen sensei like this. The Sandame said in a heavy and hatred-laced voice do you have any idea what you have done Tsunade? Tsunade said I. The Sandame bitch slapped her across the other cheek and said silence I do not want to hear your voice at this moment. I am too pissed at you to hear your excuses. I know the pain and suffering you felt from the loss of your brother, I know about what you felt from losing your fiancé. I ignored the fact you refused to return to Konoha when I summoned you after the Kyuubi attack, when I should have sent hunter nins after you, I let you go out and have time to mourn their loss and try and find happiness away from all the heartache and bloodshed you saw, but I never imagined you would go so far as to try and kill a fellow Konoha ninja. Tsunade said what, but as she started to rise up. The Sandame had his fist raised back to punch her making her shut up and stop trying to get up, and he said you did Tsunade, you may have been drunk, and from the reports I believe you were. But you punched the ninja through 6 trees with your punch which one of the trees stabbed a branch through the ninja's stomach, and then you destroyed the scroll I sent to you, and then kicked the ninja in the face leaving the ninja for dead. Do you remember now? Tsunade thought for a moment and said I don't remember. Saratobi said you did Tsunade. The ninja encountered Shizune before encountering you, and from what I heard the things you said and done to her are just as bad. You are a disgraced Tsunade. That is why your cousin calls you dead. Tsunade's eyes widened and said cousin, I don't have any cousins. Saratobi said yes, you do. Your father had a sister who married a man from a wind country. They both died, but left a son who later died, but also had a child. That scroll had the birth certificates and marriage certificates all the way back to the birth of your aunt. It was proof that you had a living blood relative. Tsunade sat there shocked and said who? Saratobi shook his head and said it doesn't matter now, your cousin knows of your actions to the ninja I sent to you. The ninja teammates told me if they had been any later in discovering the ninja, when they returned to camp the ninja would have died. You have fallen far Tsunade, and I am sickened that I have to hand over the village your family has fought, bled, and died for. They all would be sickened by who you have become. You're not Tsunade Senju, you're a drunk old bitch who gambles, so many people come up with the name of the legendary sucker for them. You, the famous Kunoichi all the girls want to be like, has a name in the world more famous than her medical skills or her battle experience, and makes people think she either sucks at gambling or is great at giving blowjobs. With your teammates who are known as legendary perverts, and Orochimaru with his long tongue, most think it's the second one. Tsunade was still shocked hearing all this, and Sarutobi looked at Tsunade and said, I have killed Danzo for being a traitor. If I have to, I will kill you also for being one, Tsunade, because your actions that I have seen and heard are on the border of treason. Now you are going to sober up, quit drinking and gambling. You are going to become the Godame Hokage and lead this village the way it should be based on the ideas that I thought you and your family believed in, and hopefully someday you will be able to earn the respect of your family should your cousin ever decide to reveal his or herself to you. If you try to run away again or not do your duties as best as you can, then I will kill you. Do I make myself clear? Tsunade, who felt the Kai, could only nod because she was still shocked hearing all she heard. Sarutobi said, good, then go inform the people of your return and that you are taking over as Godame, and Tsunade, get over your fear. As he took the blood from his arm, where he ripped the IV out and wiped it on her face. Tsunade began trembling as the Sandaime glared angrily at her and screamed go as he unleashed his Kai. Tsunade, being more scared of her sensei, quickly ran to the door and opened it and left the room, and a gasp was heard from Shizune as Tsunade ran down the hall. Jiraiya, seeing the blood on Tsunade's face, came into the room to check on the Sandaime and said, what happened, sensei? Sarutobi said, nothing to worry about, Jiraiya. I was just giving Tsunade a reason to become the Godame, that was all. Now if you will excuse me, I need some rest, and could you send one of those cute nurses down to fix my IV? I seem to have accidentally ripped it out in my excitement of seeing my long-lost student after so long. In a kind voice. Jiraiya gave a perverted giggle and said, sure, sensei. As he left, while thinking what really happened there, Shizune chased after Tsunade, who had made it halfway down the hall before she darted into an empty room, and by the time Shizune caught up to her, Tsunade was shaking back and forward, hiding against a cabinet, and Shizune said in a quiet and calm voice, Tsunade-sama, are you alright? Tsunade ignored her as Shizune moved closer, and when she saw the blood on Tsunade's face, began to use a piece of her dress she ripped off to wipe the blood off Tsunade's face. Tsunade kept shaking, and Shizune said, it's okay, the blood's gone, calm down, Tsunade-sama. Tsunade asked quietly as she began to slow down her shakes. Did you meet a ninja from Konoha? Shizune blinked and said, when? Tsunade said, alone sometime, when I wasn't with you. Shizune thought for a moment and said, not that I know why. Tsunade calmed down and said to sensei, he said I tried to kill a Konoha ninja he sent looking for me. He said the ninja met you before encountering me and said you told the ninja I did some bad things to you. Shizune froze and thought, no, it can't be Naruto. As she slowly moved her hand to her stomach and said, did he say anything else? Tsunade moved her hand to her head and said, he said I had a cousin, a living blood cousin. Causing Shizune's eyes to widen, and she thought, could it be if he does have that bloodline he could grow his own food? He said our child would never have to go hungry. And asked, what did he look like? Tsunade said, I don't know what I never told you, it was a he. In fact, sensei always was saying the ninja, not shinobi or kunoichi by ninja. He seems to go out of his way to do that. Do you know something, Shizune? As she looked at Shizune with narrowed eyes. Shizune gulped and said, a couple of weeks ago, I encountered someone in the woods. When I was upset after you said some things to me, I was crying, and a young man who was heading to the river to wash up showed up. He tried to make me feel better and told me a little about himself, and I know he told me he was a ninja, but he was going without his because there were people who would be after him to stop him from finding the person he was looking for. He never told me who he was looking for, and he wouldn't tell me what village he was from, but, as she looked down, Tsunade said, but what is Shizune? Shizune said, did you really try to kill Tsunade-sama? Tsunade said, I don't know, Shizune. I really don't know. I don't remember telling you anything that would upset you enough to make you cry either. What did I say? As she tried to think about what it might be and thought, what have I been doing if I can't remember? Shizune looked away and said, it doesn't matter. I know you didn't mean it, but if the person I met was the same person you might have attacked, then he might be your cousin as well. Tsunade's eyes widened as she heard this and said, what do you mean? Shizune closed her eyes and said, the guy I met told me about the trouble he was in. He was afraid once his village found out about his bloodlines of what they would do. I can't say anything else because I'm with his child. As she let tears flow down her face. Tsunade was frozen in place as she heard this, as her eyes slowly looked down at Shizune's stomach and asked, are you sure? Shizune nods her head and said, he told me that he had two bloodlines, one from his father and one from his mother, and that he had a way to know 100% one way or the other. If we were to have a child, he feared what his village would do to his children if they found out about his bloodlines, and so he decided he wouldn't have any children in his village unless it was political and love, which he was afraid would never happen. He said he would find families whose husbands couldn't have them and offer to be a donor so that his children could live even without him. I wanted to have a child before I missed my chance, and I asked if he would let me. I don't regret it, but I only know about one of his bloodlines. He wouldn't tell me about the other, but he did say it was one that he would never have to go hungry with. Tsunade frowned and asked Mokutan what he looked like. Shizune said, well, he looked like, now that I think about it, he looked like a young Minato actually, but he said he was a Jinchuriki but didn't have a demon sealed in him. He said some strange things that make me think he could be even more related to you now that I think about it, because he said his family founded his village, and he said he hated the villagers, but there were those in it that he would protect from harm. He did say the village leader sent him on the mission, disguised as another mission, so people wouldn't know. He said he was forced to be a sacrifice for his village's protection. As she seemed in thought, Jiraiya asked, did he look like this? As he appeared, startling both women as he was holding a picture. Shizune looked at the pictures and said, Naruto, well, not exactly, he didn't have those whiskers, but that looks like him. Jiraiya frowned and said, this is a picture of Naruto Uzumaki, Minato's legacy on his last birthday. Tsunade frowned and said, I think I remember seeing someone like that, but the clothes are off, and I don't remember what happened, but I think I remember meeting him. As she held her head, Jiraiya frowned and said, I got in touch with my contacts when I was in the village last, right after the kid graduated from the academy. Him, Anko, and a girl named Ino Yamanaka left the village together right before Sensei confronted Danzo. From what I gathered, Naruto came back, spoke with Sandame, and left the village again the very same day, just yesterday, along with Hada Kakashi, Uchiha Sasuke, and some pink-haired girl along with a client. When you met him, was he wearing clothes that had a lot of silver in them? Shizune's eyes widened and said, actually, yeah, they were made of this weird material now that I think about it. Why? Jiraiya said, people are joking about him going from orange to silver, but it doesn't make any sense, he has the Kyuubi sealed in him. Tsunade frowned and said, unless Minato is my cousin Sensei was talking about. He did say my aunt had a son, and that both her and her husband died, and that their son died, but had a child. If Minato was my cousin, and he had grandfather bloodline, he could have defeated Kyuubi the same way grandfather did. Jiraiya frowned and said, but if that's true, then why make everyone believe Naruto was a Jinchuriki, and why hide it from everyone from me saying the last part? Shizune looked down and said, Naruto, the one I met, said both his parents died the day he was born. Did they? I see. I guess it would make sense to protect the village. Konoha was weakened after the Kyuubi attack, right? If Konoha enemies thought that Konoha had a Jinchuriki, then they wouldn't think to attack the village. Jiraiya said, Minato is skilled enough to create a seal to make the story believable, and it would also be a way to protect Naruto from his enemies. Tsunade frowned and asked Jiraiya what kind of life he had. Not liking where this was going, Jiraiya frowned as well and said, from what I heard, hell, that's all I can say. Tsunade growled and said, I hate this village. As she clenched her fist, Shizune looked between Tsunade and Jiraiya and said, but what do we do now if it is him? Naruto was scared to death of his village finding out about his bloodlines. Tsunade looked down and said, I don't know, Shizune, I can't take the chance of endangering you and your child by traveling again like we did, and Sensei basically told me if I don't own up to my responsibilities, he's actually going to kill me for treason like he did with Danzo. He wasn't upset that I didn't come back after the Kyuubi attack, but he wanted to kill me for hurting Naruto. Jiraiya said, I'm not surprised, word around is they have a grandfather-grandchild relationship. For most of the kid's life, Sensei was all he had. Shizune said, but Naruto-kun thought we wouldn't see each other again. He's terrified of the village and what they would do if they found out about his other bloodline, and I don't blame him. Tsunade asked, what is it? Shizune frowned and explained what little she knew, and both Jiraiya and Tsunade eyes widened as they heard that, and Jiraiya said Kushina had a bloodline like that. I knew she was hiding something, but that I never expected. Tsunade said, we can't tell anyone about this until we verify it's true. If it is, then I'm going to do everything I can to get into his life and also make it where you and your child are taken care of also, Shizune. It looks like it's a good thing I'm going to be got him then. Shizune said, but how do we verify if it's true? Jiraiya thought for a moment and said, well, we can talk with Anko and that girl and find out what they did on their mission. That should help us. Tsunade frowned and said, the way sensei talked, if I really did attack him, things are going to be rough between us for a while. We can't tell anyone about his bloodlines if it is him, and we can't let people know about the one your child has. Shizune, have you checked to see if he was right? Shizune said, hi, I checked the night Jiraiya found us and confirmed it. Tsunade smiled and said, congratulations Shizune, and for what it's worth, I'm sorry for whatever I said to upset you, and I'm sorry I seem to have made your life hell. How far have I fallen? Shizune looked down and said, it doesn't matter, you were depressed and suffering, and Tsunade said, stop, I think sensei might have been right. If I attacked someone and can't remember it and caused you to cry and can't remember it even after all these years of you being by my side, then I have become a disgrace to my family. No wonder my cousin doesn't want to be in my life, as she seems to begin to realize what all she has done. Jiraiya said, well, I guess the first thing we should do is get to the Hokage tower and get you sworn in and then send for those two. Both ladies agreed and got up and began to leave. After they were gone, the door next to the room they were in opened and a silver-haired man walked out and pushed his glasses up and thought Lord Orochimaru would be most interested in this information. When the two Sanins and Shizune arrived at the Hokage tower, they saw the grim faces of Kaharu and Himeru, and Tsunade asked, what's wrong? Himeru said, Tsunade, have you agreed to become the Godame Hokage? Tsunade said yes. Himeru said, good, it will be a few days before we can do a public announcement, but in the meantime we just received a message for aid from a mission that has been upgraded. It appears that Genin Team 7 under Haddock Kakashi mission has upgraded from a C rank mission to an A rank bordering S rank, and they are asking for assistance. At this, all three who just arrived eyes whitened and paled, and Tsunade felt the fear of her brother and fiancé death repeating with her new possible family and said, what happened? In a commanding tone. Kaharu said, the client, a man by the name of Tazuna, lied about the dangers of the mission because he claimed his country is financially broke from the trade blockade Gato shipping has on his home country of Wave. They were first attacked by a pair of C-rank missing nins named the Demon Brothers from the Hidden Mist, and they were able to kill them, and then after hearing about the state of Wave they decided to continue the mission. Somehow they got information from an outside source and discovered that the people are starving and that their team would not have any food unless they brought it themselves, and so they went to Siligan Village to get supplies, and while there Uzumaki somehow gathered information from the locals and discovered that Gato has a mercenary army of 3 teams of 135 men each, and also that Gato has hired A-rank missing ninja Abusa Mamachi to kill their client. On a side note, Haddock also informed us that the Uchiha had a fling with a local while Uzumaki was gathering information, and he seems to have caught crabs. Jiraiya burst out laughing, and Tsunade muttered, I'll cut his fucking pecker off. Shizune asked, is the team all safe, or do they need any medical attention besides the Uchiha? Kaharu said, it appears that everyone is safe, and they are staying at Siligan Village waiting for reinforcements. Tsunade said, Anbu. A team of Anbu appeared, and Tsunade said, I am the Godame Hokage Tsunade Senju, and I have a mission of immediate importance. Thanks for watching my video, leave a like if you enjoyed my video, and also do consider subscribing to my channel for more awesome content. If you want the next part of this story, let me know in the comment box. See you next time, till then sayonara.